Hey everyone, Rick here, and folks, today is the day. Now, I won't say that I've been dreading recording this video, but by God, have I been dreading recording this video. Why? Because I'm not naive. I understand how polarizing the question is that this video asks, which is Dwarven Forge or WarLock Tiles. I mean, Dwarven Forge, in the business for decades, constantly producing fantastic products, Kickstarters in the millions, legions of fans, and then you have WarLock Tiles coming out of the gate swinging from WizKids whose pre-paints over the last couple years have really blown me away. So now I wanted to do a little face-to-face, eye-to-eye to get us started, just to show you that I'm taking this seriously, that I am sincere. But now it's time. Let's head to the table and see how these stack up. Alright folks, here they are side by side. On the left, WizKids WarLock Tiles Dungeon Tiles 1, retailing for $99.99 USD. On the right, Dwarven Forge. This is their classic dungeon starter set remastered, available on the Dwarven Forge website right now for $99 even USD. I'm going to have links to both of these in the description below so you can take a peek at them for yourself. All right, let's take a look and see what you get. So essentially, and obviously, in all honesty, this isn't quite comparing apples to apples. And we'll get into the pros and cons of each set, but this is about as close of a comparison as you can get just with the tiles you have because of how neutral they are. These sets are the meat and potatoes, essentially, of each system. Now, a couple caveats with the Dwarven Forge tiles, and let's start right there. The caveats are, I picked this set up back in several years ago with their first Kickstarter. So these tiles do not have magnets on the bottom. The current remastered classic dungeon starter set have magnets on the bottom of the tiles because they now have released terrain trays that did not come with this set and still do not, but you can pick up terrain trays that the magnetic pieces can sit on top of so you can drop pre-made rooms right into a layout, and that'll come, that little tidbit will be important when we take a look at the click functionality of the WarLock tiles. But anyway, caveat number one, these do not have the magnets on the bottom. One other thing is I'm substituting in one straight wall because the current remastered set basically sliced one of these into four. You would have a single 1x1 square, another single 1x1 square, and then also a 1x1 wall and another 1x1 wall. Since I don't have those pieces, I'm substituting in this. Everything else, though, is the same. So what do you get? You get 15 2x2 floors, 8 2x2 corners, 15 2x2 straight walls. Again, 4 individual pieces that would essentially make up one additional 2x2 straight wall, and 3 doors. So let's start there with the doors. They are functional. They swing one way, at least mine do. I'm pretty sure the current ones do as well. We're going to take a look at paint schemes side by side in just a second, but here is that example of one of their doors. It is, you know, 1 inch deep, 2 inches wide, sits right on a floor tile, just like that. The floor tiles, fantastic, have a lot of detail and character to them with the various cracks, just a basic dry brush paint. Another thing is you can get the Dwarven Forge set unpainted at a lesser cost as well. I just want to throw that out there, that may be a benefit. You know, some people consider that, yes, you can get Dwarven Forge tiles unpainted, whereas of right now, WarLock tiles only come painted, but I believe there are plans in the future to offer unpainted. Another thing, which, you know, let's just take a peek side by side now, the Dwarven Forge floor tiles are finished all the way around. You'll notice that there are no unfinished edges on the Dwarven Forge floor tiles, whereas due to the click nature of the WarLock tiles, there are gaps on all 4 sides. the corner pieces, and the wall pieces. So the bread and butter of, as I hear them describe it as, for the Dwarven Forge tiles are basically these three pieces: floors, walls, and corners. Especially with the straight walls and corners, you'll notice in the basic set that the wall takes up essentially half an inch. I think a little less, but we'll just say half an inch, so that you don't actually get 4 full floor inch spaces. You get 2 half-inch and 2 full-inch. Just like with the corner, you get a 1/4 inch square there, 2 half squares on the sides, and only 1 full inch there. The reason for that is when you back these up back to back, that's essentially an inch there, so it'll keep you on a grid if you had these sitting on a table just like that. You can see that you'll be able to build around all of the Dwarven Forge tiles, and that is huge, and we'll get into why you might not quite be able to do that with the WarLock tiles in just a second. But that's essentially it. And we're going to take a look at what you can build with each of these as well to give you a visual representation, because just looking at the total amount of pieces may actually be a little bit misleading, simply because the wall pieces for the WarLock tiles obviously don't contain floors. In order to use those effectively, they'll have to be linked, clipped or unclipped, you can just dry fit them as well, to a floor piece, whereas all of these walls and corners have integrated floor. So, you know, let's take a look at some numbers. I kind of added this up. I'm not the biggest math whiz, but I was able to at least add the floor space together of what you could build in terms of the Dwarven Forge versus the WarLock tiles. So, for Dwarven Forge, just this standard base set. Remember, we're not talking about any of the other packs that Dwarven Forge offers. Just this classic remastered basic set covers 156 1-inch square inches. So that means that there's 156 squares worth of space, that if you put these all together, you'd have 156 squares worth of space. Again, some of those squares are going to be obstructed by walls. Whereas the WarLock tiles, you know, it makes that very easy to add because you don't have to worry about walls. Just the sheer floors that they offer is 168 1-inch squares. So 168 squares to 156 squares. When you look at the difference in the amount of pieces, you may not have thought that it was that close. The WarLock tiles have 12, essentially, more squares worth of space than the Dwarven Forge tiles. All right, so now let's take a peek at the WarLock tiles themselves. And if you saw or have seen my Dungeon Tiles 1 set unboxing, you've seen all this already. Maybe not all laid out quite like this, but in this comparison video, it's important to go over those features again. They also have working doors, which honestly look fantastic. Do those not? And you know, you have both double doors as well as single doors, all that work, and 2 interior doors. And we'll explain the difference between these being exterior doors, these being interior doors that do not function, unfortunately. Some have said maybe you could cut that out and prop it into an open position. Maybe keep some if you have multiple sets with a little open and a couple that are still closed, so you can swap them out to kind of denote which ones are open, which ones are closed. Because, you know, in a lot of miniature skirmish games, in role-playing games, figuring out which doors are open and which doors aren't could actually be kind of important. All right, so the fantastic thing about the WarLock tiles is the fact that their interior walls slip in between 2 separate connected floor tiles. And that way, those interior walls do not take up any floor space, unlike back-to-back, or, you know, let's say we did something like this. You could absolutely still do that, and they function essentially the exact same, but you'll notice that with the WarLock tiles, you have the 4 full floor squares on both sides, whereas the Dwarven Forge wall takes up half of one of the squares. Now, there are pros and cons to this, and one of the pros is obviously the extra floor space. One of the cons is you cannot stick these interior walls on any of these pre-built floors, because obviously they're solid. You could certainly stick them on an edge where you had additional floors. The pre-built floors, though, are really just handy if you know that you're going to have a big room and that's not going to be subdivided up by walls. Instead of clicking 4 separate floor tiles together, you can just pop one of these guys down. Let's talk about another major pro, another major advantage that WarLock tiles have. The floors are double-sided. That's right. Every single floor is double-sided, whereas the Dwarven Forge floors, at least the ones I have, are not. And they also, mine don't have the magnets, but the other ones that Dwarven Forge currently offers would have magnets on the bottom, which are nice. But the WarLock tiles are double-sided. So you have the stone floor on one side. You have what I honestly think is a very attractive looking wood floor on the other side. So the versatility there is fantastic. Let's talk paint jobs, shall we? When you take a peek, and so here are 2 floor tiles. I guess I can stand the camera up for this. Side by side, you'll notice that the Dwarven Forge floors are slightly meatier. They have a little more height to them. I have seen other video reviews. The Gallant Goblin actually did a fantastic one where they had a build of WarLock tiles next to a build of Dwarven Forge, and, next to one another, they're not too bad, despite that minimal height difference. But then, okay, so let's take a look at like the sculpt and the paintwork. So the paint on both is essentially just a basic dry brushing. You definitely have more detail on the Dwarven Forge just by the nature of Dwarven Forge. They're legion of sculptors, especially, pioneered originally by Stefan, have just done such a fantastic job. And this is just the basic floor tiles. They have cracks and little, scattered pieces of debris around them, whereas the WarLock tiles still look functionally nice. You still have the stone texture there, kind of in a, laid out kind of pattern. Where these really shine, I have to say, is that wooden floor. And of course, if you are familiar with Dwarven Forge at all, you know that there are other packs of Dwarven Forge that absolutely do have wooden floors. They are not, however, double-sided. Let's take a look at some walls. So here is a straight wall. And again, what you would do is clip a wall to a floor like this, and this is one of the WarLock tiles exterior walls. So let's get into that. Let's also get into the clips. I mean, there is just so much to talk about. If you want a full detailed look at the WarLock tiles and how they fit and everything, check out my Dungeon Tiles 1 review. But essentially, you take one of these, as they call them, WarLock clips, stick it into the center, you push straight in, then you rock the clip up and rock it back down, and then it is securely in place. Then you would connect this to other floors, you would connect it to exterior doors or exterior walls. Similarly, push it straight until you hear a click. And even though there's not enough room to fully rock it up or down, you still kind of want to rock it back and forth in order to get that clip inside there. And it's going to take some effort. One of the things after building multiple builds with the WarLock tiles so far that I've learned is do not be afraid of breaking the clips. I mean, you can really just hammer home the fact that you are smashing these pieces together to get that clip to lock into place. Do not be afraid. Use as much force as you think is necessary, including when you're ripping them apart again. These are like made out of nylon or something. These are not going to break under typical use. So yeah, when you're popping that in there, and you could start out by putting the clip in the wall, for example, and then putting it into the floor. And again, you could kind of rock it in there and boom, pops right in. I've heard actually that from a couple different sources that they may be coming out with some clips that are a little bit easier to use, because my gosh, clipping in a lot of the pieces, and this will be something else we kind of talk about in a little bit, can really wear on your poor fingers after a while. It really hurts. Okay, so anyway, so clipping in one of these walls to a floor, here you go. Here's something, obviously, since these exterior walls don't take up floor space, that's why they're called exterior, because you can't really build around them with, you know, without having some kind of issues, just because this wall kind of breaks that grid. But when you look at these also, the other thing that jumps out at you is the height. Right now, the WarLock tile walls are half-height walls. And of course, they say that's so someone across the table can still see figures standing near the wall. Whereas if a figure was here, behind a Dwarven Forge wall, and someone was across the table, the wall might hinder someone's ability to see the figure or the terrain piece there, which, you know, makes sense. And they have said that later they are going to be releasing full height walls as well, which is going to be interesting to see how that ends up looking. But for right now, that is the height of the wall, and that's how the floors look side by side. That's how the walls look side by side. Now, on the stone sculpting, I actually really like the WarLock tiles, how it's kind of a little bit more random, whereas these look very nicely laid like bricks. Paint jobs, again, are pretty, you know, standard, kind of dry brush with some darker interior spots there. Same with the Dwarven Forge tiles. They have picked out some of the stones to give them a little bit different color. Again, though, one of the things you notice is that the Dwarven Forge tiles are finished all the way around, whereas the WarLock tiles are not. However, that is remedied. How? Well, by the use of these edging pieces, where you can, if you ever did have an exposed edge, you could simply clip one of these edge pieces in there, and then you have a nice edge. In fact, I put that in upside down. These, I found, do have a top and a bottom. So when you put that in there, just kind of gives it a nice edge, and you'll notice the top has detail across the top of it. There is a dedicated bottom that has just flat, so you'll definitely want to make sure if you use those to use them right side up. In the Dungeon Tiles 1 set, all of the edge pieces are stone, but in the Town and Village 1 set, the edge pieces are wood. So that's why it would look much nicer with wood there. So that is how that works. If you're ever worried about these edge pieces here, that's where these kind of corner pillars come into play. You can plug those right in there, and that'll seal off that edge as well. That's more important, though, if you were doing a corner with another wall piece. So again, clip straight in there, rock it up, rock it down. I feel like I've gotten so good at doing that now that it actually doesn't destroy my fingers as bad as it first did. And then pop it straight in there, and see, when you do that, you do have this gap here, which is what these corner pillars fill in, and it looks like that. And of course, they have pre-made exterior corners, so just one piece you could do that. But of course, it's nice to be able to still do this in case you ran out of these. Because what do you get in the WarLock tiles? Well, you get all of these floors. You get 26 2x2 double-sided floors, 2 of the larger 4x4s, 2 of the 8x2s for a ton of floor space, as we've talked about. You get 4 of the double door exterior doors, 4 of the single door exterior doors, 2 single door interior doors. You get how many of these? 16 of these interior walls. You get 5 of each exterior inner wall, 5 exterior outer wall, and how many exterior walls? You get, looks like 18 exterior walls, which is fantastic. So let's also show how one of these interior walls might work. because you'll notice they have these integrated metal tabs. So I'll stick that in here, rock the clip in there, stick another floor piece straight in, rock it, boom. Then that tab is right in the middle there. That's why you only want to use that middle section when you clip them together, because here's an interior wall slides right in there. How nice is that? So the nice thing about this is when you have these combined, these clips, you can jiggle, shake this thing all day long. That's not coming undone. And that is so nice to be able to drop in entire rooms. Let me show you. From some of the other larger builds that I've already done, take a look at this inn. I know I have a lot of dressing pieces and stuff in here. This inn is just one piece. I didn't clip all the floors together, but you can drag this thing. I'm lifting the entire inn in my hand right now. Typically, I'd have this laid on a binder or something, and then you set it on the table, slide it down there so nicely. How fantastic is that? Those clips are so strong is the point I'm trying to get to. Okay, what else is there to talk about? We know the building blocks of Dwarven Forge. We now know the building blocks of the dungeon tiles. Let's go ahead and build something with both of these, show you what an actual build looks like, and we'll be right back. All right, folks, here are the results after building with every piece from each set. Again, on your left, WarLock Tiles. On your right, Dwarven Forge. Let's take a closer look. So first of all, just as an aerial shot, you can see, as expected, the WarLock Tiles do cover a bit of a larger area. Now, and I actually took a full video of putting the WarLock dungeon together. The video lasts a little over 40 minutes, so that tells you this WarLock build took me 40 minutes to put together. No real pre-planning or anything. As you can see in the video, I just start clipping pieces together. The Dwarven Forge set, yes, it has less pieces, but without the clips, I was able to put this together in just a couple minutes, essentially. All right, so we're going to talk pros and cons of each. Kind of my theme here with the WarLock Tiles build was maybe this is a little hut or a little house. You go in, maybe there's a little bedroom back here, a back closet that then leads into a dungeon with various passageways and dead ends into other rooms that then adventurers can seek out. So I used every single piece in the Dungeon Tiles 1 set, apart from, here are the leftover clips that I have. Here are the, the open lock and dragon lock compatible clips, but then also many of these tile edge caps, because honestly, all my edges are fine. What I did do, because I did not have very many interior doors, was I simply put doors, exterior doors, I put edge caps over them and just stuck it in here. And you can absolutely do that. Of course, it looks like it takes a little step up and then a step down to go through some of these doors. I did it on several doors because I could have used several more of those interior doors. But overall, this is what a build might look like with the WarLock tile. So yes, it does take much longer than the Dwarven Forge build to put together. Dwarven Forge build, just kind of a basic build. 2 major rooms with some walls to block line of sight or impede movement and whatnot. Pros and cons of both. WarLock tiles, reversible floors. You can see you got the wood and the stone going on. Another pro is you simply get more for your money in terms of the number of pieces. Look at all these interior walls and all these doors. You can really make a lot of winding passageways, whereas with the Dwarven Forge, you are limited in what you have. Now, the pros for Dwarven Forge is, well, they're well sculpted. I think I do prefer the more artistic sculpt of the Dwarven Forge pieces, just those stone floors just look so nice. I do like the wooden floors and the overall stone look of the WarLock tiles, but I'm giving the artistic nod to Dwarven Forge. And then also the Dwarven Forge Pro was easy assembly. Again, I slapped this together in minutes, whereas this took 40 minutes to clip all these together. Let's move on to the cons. The clips hurt. There is no, I mean, if you watch that assembly video, oh my gosh, the clips hurt. They, especially when you're clipping full rooms together, oh my gosh, it takes a lot of effort. They end up hurting if you slip. You know, with the force you have to use to clip pieces together, if you slip, oh my gosh, you're in for a bad time. Also, it takes a while to assemble. Again, 40 minutes. So the clips hurt, and it took a while to assemble. Those are the cons. Cons of Dwarven Forge: you can't move this around the table now. And I'm talking out of the base package, not the expansion pack, you know, where you can get terrain trays, where you could drop essentially this whole thing down and maybe using 2 terrain trays. No, terrain trays don't come with this set. So no, once I put this together, it is not moving around the table. If I want to move this around, I'm going to have to do it column by column and move the entire thing, and things start to get messy and you got to smash it back together again. Again, that doesn't take too long, but it's just cumbersome overall. Whereas this, watch this. I have this in 2 separate pieces, the little house piece and then this whole dungeon. I can rock this all around, apart from the little doors that I had sitting up. I can flip this around. Look at that. Unbelievable. This entire thing is clipped together. And when you watch the build video, some columns are only clipped by maybe a clip or 2, but you can still just flip the whole thing around. And you can kind of build it a little modularly, like I had this here, so I can just nudge that up there, but there you go. And then the other one was just simply more expensive, less for your money in terms of the variety. Of course, if you consider the quality of the pieces as well, these are nice, thick pieces. Both of them, I don't want to drop this on this wood table, but let's see. I just dropped that entire thing on the floor. Of course, this is carpet. Didn't fall apart either. Just slip the interior door back in there and you're good to go. I wouldn't be too afraid of dropping either one on concrete. Like, I could probably drop this on the concrete patio and it would be fine. The plastic, while it's definitely durable, I might be worried about gouges. But then again, maybe worried about gouges on Dwarven Forge too. But of course, we're not throwing these things on concrete. Let's be real. So then you just have the only other major thing I want to add is, and I can't knock this on the WarLock tiles, and I can't give Dwarven Forge the edge for this right now, and that's the variety of pieces currently available. Dwarven Forge has so many scenes. They've been around for decades. They have caverns, lava caverns, crypts, catacombs, in resin sets, Dwarven Knight sets, so many accessory packs, miniatures, all this stuff. Right now, for WarLock tiles, it's town and village, and it's dungeon. There's more coming, but then that's why I can't knock something that just was released for its lack of variety. So many more environments for Dwarven Forge right now. Don't forget Wildlands for Dwarven Forge Kickstarter in August. Believe me, I'll be there. Can't wait. Because there's outside areas as well. So again, can't knock WarLock tiles because they are on the move, and they already do have accessory packs out too, but just the sheer variety is not there yet, quite there yet for WarLock tiles. One thing you may find with Dwarven Forge, and I'm sure people will be shouting in the comments if I don't mention this, they are out of stock of a lot of their sets and products just from the nature of this. You can, okay, so here's another pro. You can find these in stores. You can go down to your local comic shop, your local game shop. You will be able to find WarLock tiles in stores, Dwarven Forge is only sold through Kickstarter or their web store. Their web store, I don't know, it's like 50-50. Flip a coin if the set you want is actually going to be in stock or not, just because this is a more, I don't know, maybe luxurious item. Maybe you might think of it that way. But, you know, they only get them in small batches. So, yeah, the variety's there, but are the sets in stock? That's the concern. WarLock Tiles are readily available through the WizKids website, through other online shops, and through your friendly local game store. You can just go down there and pick it up. So I think that pretty much covers it, and I'm sure I'm leaving out something. So everyone in the comments, just leave your own thoughts and opinions. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of pro Dwarven Forge people out there just talking about the sheer quality, the variety of pieces, the artistic, you know, the sculptors. These are people that we know their names and we interact with them on the Dwarven Forge forums, on the Dwarven Forge Facebook groups. So we know these people. We love these people for years. So, you know, WarLock Tiles have big shoes to fill, or, you know, to stand up to the challenge. So anyway, in conclusion, this is my current collection of WarLock Tiles. I will absolutely continue collecting these because I love them. And I love the fact that, you know, there's so many, and this is not WarLock Tiles, but I did pick this up the other day. Just the WizKids painted accessories and dungeon dressing sets. I love this. Dwarven Forge has accessory packs as well, but it's not like their focus. Their focus isn't the dressing pieces, it's the other pieces, which is fine. That's why I'm glad WizKids exists, so that I can start picking up barrels, tables, and chairs at will when I need them. So anyway, that's my WarLock collection. Now I know a lot of you have already seen this, and forgive how messy this is, but I just want to give you a sense of my Dwarven Forge collection. This is resin sets, medieval building sets, Wicked Edition sets, ruin sets, cavern sets, all the way down the line. Come over here, I just opened up some tubs from my Dwarvenite dungeon sets. All of this is Dwarven Forge miniatures, accessory packs, Dwarvenite. It's all in the tubs, sewers, dungeon accessories, caverns, all the way down, and then just tons and tons more of the resin sets. And then I have a bunch of the city builder sets as well, kind of hidden way in the back, boxed up. But these kind of tubs is what I'm planning on storing all the WarLock stuff in once I get it all unboxed. And of course, my goal, check out my channel for the Dwarven Forge dungeon I built on this table. I'm going to try to do the exact same thing with the WarLock tiles. Conclusion for me, I know people are going to be like, Rick, which do you prefer? What do you... Again, I hate to give a non-answer. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I love Dwarven Forge. I think I prefer Dwarven Forge. The reason I hesitate is because the WarLock tiles, maybe it's the newness. I don't want to be, you know, cult of the new shiny thing, but this, I can do this. I can easily get this. That's the other thing. I can easily pick this up. If I want more of this, I drive to the game shop in Bellevue, Nebraska, and I pick up as many sets as I want right now. They're in stock. If I want more of this, hopefully it's in stock on the website, and I'm waiting for it to get shipped to me. Availability is huge, but I still love Dwarven Forge. I will still support Dwarven Forge. I will still continue to purchase Dwarven Forge. Super excited about what the future holds for both of these. I feel that there is absolutely a market for both. No matter which you prefer, folks, we are so fortunate to be living in this age of tabletop gaming. The true winner is us, gamers. Absolutely love it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, video requests, comments, please leave them below. There's definitely more content coming. And as always, until next time.